Do you want to create professional portraits but you only have one light? In this video, I'm going to show you 5 simple setups that you can create with one light only and create professional looking results. The only equipment you'll need is a flash, a radio trigger, a light stand and a softbox, and obviously your camera and lens. Hi everyone, I'm Martin Castine. I'm a portrait and landscape photographer and also former wedding photographer. On this channel, I focus on teaching the practical side of photography and helping you take better photos no matter your skill level. In any portrait shoot, this is how I begin the photo shoot. Butterfly lighting. It is perfect for beauty shots, headshots, and clean, elegant portraits. And the reason I use it at the start of every photo shoot is because my client is always going to be happy with the results from butterfly lighting. And once I've got those shots in the bag, I can move on to my other lighting setups with confidence, knowing that I've already got enough to impress my client. One way to think about butterfly lighting is I'm almost trying to replicate on-camera flash, but not quite. I want to position the light like in this diagram. It's right next to me. So this is front lighting essentially. Your softbox should be slightly above your subject's eyeline level and then tilted down towards them. So if that was on me, the softbox needs to be a little bit higher and then tilted down. So when it hits your subject, it's going to create a shadow under the nose area here, which gives it the name butterfly lighting. Now, some people might position the softbox above or even behind themselves when they're taking this picture, so the lighting is really straight on. And that can work really well as well. I like to have it just slightly off to the side of me, and I'm often pressed up against the softbox. That's how close I am to it. I'm usually touching it. And the reason I do that is I like to have just a slight little bit of an angle to it, because it gives you just a little bit more shape when you're taking pictures of people. Biasing the light slightly to one side still keeps it as a butterfly lighting effect. Any motion towards side lighting always increases the dimension in the picture and makes it look a little bit three-dimensional. It gives it that extra pop that just helps with a professional looking portrait. The big bonuses with butterfly lighting is that it minimizes imperfection, so you get a really good clear complexion on people's skin. And as you can see from my pictures, it gives your subject a glowing and radiant but polished look. Now, the next lighting setup that I like to use in my portrait shoots takes us from butterfly lighting, which gives us this polished look, and switches over to a much more moody and dramatic look, side lighting. Side lighting pushes us in completely the opposite direction. Side lighting enters into the more artistic look and makes us feel that the person and the portrait is much more expressive. And if you want to get a range of different looks in your photo shoot, then this is the second lighting setup that I would use. I'm going to show you how to do it now. So as you can see from the lighting setup diagram, what I do with my softbox is I position it over to the side and in front of the subject. So it's in a fairly traditional position, but I'm turning the softbox directly 90 degrees. So the light appears that it's firing across them and in front of them. We're creating far more three-dimensionality in our images. So no need to use a reflector. Embrace the drama and enjoy the results that you get from this lighting setup. This might be not my most used, but my favorite lighting setup. Now, the next lighting setup that I want to mention is probably one that you've heard of quite a lot, but I want to make you aware of one of the things that you should be doing with this setup to increase or decrease the drama in your images. And I'll show you with a couple of examples how different they can be. So the next lighting setup that I want to talk about is the classic Rembrandt lighting. Rembrandt lighting mimics window light. That's the general idea with it. Rembrandt lighting is the sort of halfway house between butterfly lighting and the soft side lighting. I just want to make you aware of a couple of little things about Rembrandt lighting in a moment, but let me explain to you how to do it in the first place. As you can see on this diagram, I'm positioning my light at 45 degrees to the subject, and again I'm placing the softbox above the subject's eyeline and then tilting it also 45 degrees down, so it looks like that. The thing that you'll notice with Rembrandt lighting is that as you move your light towards and away from your subject, it really has a big impact on how dramatic your picture is going to be. So it's always true that when you move your light closer to your subject will become brighter. So you'll have to expose for them differently. But what will happen as well is your contrast ratio between your subject and the background will change too. And because of the components that are involved in Rembrandt lighting, of it having these two components of soft side and also butterfly lighting, so I suggest that you play around with the distance of your light to your subject and see the different looks that you're able to achieve. The fourth lighting setup is one of my very favorite, and I think it's the most misunderstood of the bunch. It is broad lighting. This is the lighting setup where I always want to tell photographers that say it just makes people look wider Take a look at what you are looking at. I'm showing you pictures using broad lighting now, and I think you agree that it creates a very good feminine and softer look whilst also bringing a bit of the drama. It gives you that more painterly look, and I think it's a wonderful lighting technique to use that people are dismissing because they're repeating things that other people have told them and just assuming that it's always true. Now let me show you how to set it up. Take your Rembrandt lighting setup, and instead of having it at 45 degrees, move it round to about 60 degrees. And I think you'll get the best of what broad lighting has to offer. So as you can see in this diagram, the lighting is moved around to the side. This means that it's going to catch a bit more texture and mood and dimension. And I would also move the light a little bit further back as well. I think that mostly that's going to give a better look. But as you can see in this picture here, this is what it looks like when you move the light in a bit closer and you're still using broad lighting. But you're going to get a more punchy and dramatic look. And as long as we don't go past the subject's nose, or where their nose is pointing, we will stay pretty much within the range of broad lighting. Please allow me to introduce to you the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare. The class I've been following recently is color grading from beginner to advanced in Final Cut Pro from Miles Fernley, who's a BBC published videographer. What's beneficial for me as someone that doesn't have a lot of free time is that these classes are structured from start to finish, so I'm not missing pieces of information. I can follow the class from beginning to end, learn the things that I need to know, and then I can take those techniques and apply them to my work immediately. This saves me so much time because I don't then have to search around online looking to plug the gaps. If you're not familiar with Skillshare, Skillshare is the largest online learning platform for creatives, offering thousands of classes across categories like design, photography, film, productivity, and even freelance business. What I love about Skillshare is their classes are taught by industry-leading experts, and that means they know exactly what it takes to go from beginner to expert. And if you're a visual learner like me, this is a really good way to improve your skill set. So whether it's learning a new language, enhancing your photography, improving your design skills, or mastering computing. Now imagine how much you could achieve in just 1 month. Fortunately, the first 500 people to use the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. And the fifth book that I want to show you is short lighting. Short lighting is the lighting technique that people like to use instead of broad lighting. And I think you need to be a little bit careful with it. Short lighting can very quickly lead to overly dramatic pictures with too many shadows that, whilst it's slimming, is not particularly flattering in its own way because it enhances texture too much. It can be too moody and too dramatic, and it can start to look more like the poster for a thriller than it can a romantic looking portrait. Having said that, with the right subject, with the right clothing and the right pose, it can be really, really nice. But I would suggest you use this sparingly because this is the most dramatic lighting setup. So the simple answer to positioning our light and setting up short lighting is that however our subject is posed, our light needs to be past their nose, because the principle of short lighting is that we're lighting the side of the face that is away from the camera. So logically, if I'm facing this way, then the side of my face away from the camera means that the light has to be within that range. And that's really the rule to it. So we're moving the light far enough round that it goes past the subject's nose, and then that will light the opposite side of the face to what is facing the camera. It's as simple as that. And if you want to learn how to edit in the way that I edit my pictures, not a generic editing course, specifically how I edit my pictures, then you should check out my editing workshops. The links are in the description down below. If you choose to sign up to them, you can watch them as many times as you want, whenever and wherever you want to. In those videos, I teach you my approach to editing, how I look at and see light, and how I use my editing software to shape my images and craft them into the work that you've seen in this video. Go and check out the links in the description down below and see if they interest you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.